Hi folks, year 2024 is nearly over, and in this video I will share my speculation about what Sony will announce in 2025 when it comes to cameras. I will make a separate video for the lenses, but in this video I will specifically talk about some rumors of cameras that could be announced in 2025, some good guesses, some speculation from other websites and so forth, and try to filter them out so that we can have a more or less reliable idea of what could be possibly coming in 2025. But before we kick off with the roadmap, please the usual reminder to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button to not miss any of the upcoming rumors. So now let's talk about the possible cameras that could be announced by Sony. I basically made two categories. One category is about cameras that I'm nearly certain that will not be announced, and the second category is about the cameras that could be announced. And this is based on my experience, based on what I learned from those years from Sony, how the release cycle is, what the rumors are, and so forth. Still, things can change through the year. So again, that's why you have to subscribe to the channel to be up to date if there are any changes. But looking back at 2024, what's very important as a first keystone of that speculation is that 2024 was really slow when it comes to cameras for Sony. We didn't get any FX camera. We got the Sony A7 II very last minute in the year, and otherwise the A7V Gen II. So it was an incredible slow year. This can happen with Sony every couple of years. Usually it's followed by a year with more releases, of course. So up to 4 or 5 cameras instead of 2, so this will be exciting. I expect in 2025 indeed to have, for example, minimum 1 FX camera, but at least 2-3 alpha cameras on top of it. So I'm sure 4 or 5 cameras are possible to be announced in 2025. But now let's kick off with the list of cameras that I think will not be announced. The first camera that will not be announced is some sort of A6700 successor, so an aps-c E-mount camera. The A6700 has been announced in 2023, so we are not ready yet to get a new A6900 or something like this. And I also didn't get any rumors about any other aps-c cameras, so my dream of a A7000 professional aps-c camera is never becoming true in 2025 and probably for the next 20 years. So the A6000 lineup will just keep evolving, but we will not get a new A5000 entry-level camera, we will not get an A7000 high-end camera. So what Fuji is, for example, doing in their aps-c range, that will not be replicated by Sony. I think they should do it, but they're not doing it. So this will be a year without an aps-c E-mount alpha camera. That's my opinion. Then there will be no new A7C camera. Those cameras have been announced in 2023, the A7C II and the A7CR. Definitely there is no new successor coming for those models, or not even an A7CS, which was wildly rumored on some websites. I don't think that's happening. So also in that case, no successor coming. The third camera, which I think will not get an update in 2025, is the A7V1, the full-frame vlogger camera, because also that camera was announced in 2023. It's too early for Sony to update this model. So those 3 cameras, the A7C IIR, the A6700 and the A7V1, will not get a successor in 2025. That's based on the release cycle from Sony, usual release cycle, on the fact that I didn't get any rumors at all about those cameras. So I would be surprised if Sony would announce anything in that direction. But now it's getting more exciting. I'm kicking off the possible rumor list of cameras with 2 cameras that I'm near certain that will be announced early in the year in 2025. One I already talked about is the Sony A7V. That's confirmed by trusted sources, should be announced the first half of 2025, maybe even February, March. I didn't get the final confirmation, but those are the kind of rumors I'm receiving, that it should be coming early in the year. And this will probably be the first alpha E-mount camera announced by Sony in 2025, an exciting model. Of course, we don't have yet the specs. I made in my last video a possible speculation about a conservative update and a more advanced update, one that has the same sensor, that has the new A1 II body without a dial on the left, of course, and the AI chip with all the latest features and so forth. And one more let's say, exciting update with the new 44 megapixel sensor from Sony, which exists. So I hope that this one is coming, because it's nice to have an increase in resolution. I think that will be nice, and also it reads out much faster, so you have a much faster frame rate. Instead of the 10 frames per second, you would get up to 20-25, so that's quite exciting. So this camera will come, about that I'm 90% certain, and as soon as I have specifications and release it, I will make a new video on this channel. The second camera I heard from trusted sources that should be announced early 2025 is a sort of FX9, FX6 successor. So this should have been announced in late autumn, but has been delayed. We don't know why, but Sony in the latest financial report actually disclosed they're slowing down the release cycle of their products because the market is a bit changing in China. There is a stabilization of the market, so they're a cool down of the market, which is something that Sony is monitoring. So that's something which they really said officially. So I think the FX9, FX6 is probably coming early 2025. Also in that case, I'm awaiting final confirmation. But about those two cameras, the A7V and the FX9 successor, I'm near certain they're going to happen. Now, about the rest of the cameras, I still didn't get solid confirmation, but I think it's a good guess. There could be, for example, a new FX3 successor, because the FX3 was announced back in 2021. And so having a new FX3 in 2025 is a likely scenario. I didn't get a confirmation, but I'm very excited about that model because I hope it uses the same 24 megapixel global shutter sensor from the Sony A7 III. It would make it a terrific little video focused camera. So I'm really crossing my fingers that they will release it and that it has the new sensor from the A7 III, which in my opinion is a perfect sensor for filmmakers and documentary filmmakers. So that could happen, maybe even something like in April, May. That could be a possible scenario, but that's again now a guess, not based on rumors from trusted sources. But hopefully again that if you have actually some info about that camera and other cameras, the usual reminder to contact me in the contact form or through the email address, so that we can work out the rumors slowly and see if cameras like the FX3II are really coming in 2025. For the second half of the year, there are three possible cameras that Sony could announce. One is finally the successor of the Sony A7S III. The A7S III is the oldest alpha E-mount camera in the lineup. A reminder, between the A7S II and the A7S III, we had a 5-year gap. I think based on the fact that the A7V is definitely coming in early 2025, at best this camera will be released the second half of the year. That's a guess, so I don't have a solid information. The question mark here is if after FX3II, Sony will really release the A7S4. Some do believe the A7S lineup is dead. There will be no more any new A7S camera. I think there's still some valid points why this camera the lineup should be kept alive. You can share the same technology of the FX3II and just add a viewfinder and a better grip and some other things the FX3II will not have for those people that want to have a bigger camera with a viewfinder. But if it's going to happen, my guess is that this will happen the second half of 2025. We have two more cameras to talk about. One is the Sony A7R6. The Sony A7R5, which I do own and I'm using to record this video, has been released in 2022. So 2025, end of 2025, it will be 3 years that we have the camera. And usually the A7R lineup has a release cycle, a renew cycle of 3 years. So there is a small chance this camera will be announced in 2025. The reason why I'm a bit doubtful is that we are getting a Sony A7V beginning of the year. And if we get for real the A7S4, then the A7R6 is more likely to be introduced sometimes in 2026. That's my opinion, if the A7S4 is really coming. If it's not coming, then maybe the A7R6 could really be announced something like in November 2025. like the big cameras, Sony A9 III, A1 II, those also got announced in November. That's usually the month where Sony makes the biggest alpha announcement of the year, and the Sony A7R6 would definitely be a big announcement. I don't have, like I said before, any confirmation this is going to happen. Based on the release cycle, it could happen. And about the possible specs of the camera, I don't have info. We know that Sony has some new full-frame sensors that are going up to 100 megapixels. The Sony A7R5, the Sony A7R4 and so forth, they always use the same sensor, so I hope that this time they will update it, give us something a bit more exciting. Of course, the 61 megapixel sensor is really great, but I think it's about time to make a major step forward. And I'm not a big fan of the megapixel race, but the A7R lineup is really made for those people that need resolution, because they are one of the few people that do print in large size, or for me, more importantly, you can crop in a lot if you have many megapixels. For me, this is important because when I hike on the mountains, I don't need to carry a big telephoto zoom with me. I have a compact Tamron 28-200. I can crop in forever on the A7R5 that I use, so having a 100 megapixel sensor would allow me to crop in even further or have more resolution on the same cropping factor. So it would be a real headline and draw back some attention to Sony. But let me know in the comment section what you think about the Sony A7R6, what it should have. Of course, I expect to have it, this new AI chip, the latest AI chip, the new body and so forth. That's a no-brainer. But I think the key here is the sensor, that they should really be a bit more bold and give us a new 80 megapixel sensor, 90, or just go at 100 so it's done and they can show to Canon, Nikon, all others that we have a 100 megapixel full-frame sensor finally. And the last camera that could be announced in 2025, and where I really have strong feelings because I want it to become true, but I don't know if Sony is going to do it, is a sort of Sony RX1 full-frame fixed-lens camera successor. We know there's at the moment a big hype around compact cameras, so the Ricoh cameras are selling great, Fuji cameras are selling great, Leica Q3 cameras are selling crazy, and I think there's a big whole gap in the market. Sony could offer a camera that has incredible image quality, is very compact, but way more affordable than the Leica, so give us the possibility to have a compact full-frame camera that is not crazy expensive and has an image quality that is superior to the Fuji, with about nearly the same size. If you compare the RX1 with the Fuji X100VI, you can see that the size are really close, so I think this has the potential to be a popular camera, but I don't know if Sony will do it. We saw in the past decade that many new things happened in the RX lineup when it comes to lens design, sensor design and so forth, and then when they became a success, Sony introduced them in the E-mount lineup. So I think they should make sort of statement bold compact camera that has some new features that can be a sort of beacon for future products. So I don't know if, for example, it could be even a sensor. We know that Sony has patented 3-layer sensor, 4-valence sensors, which means that you have the RGB filters stacked upside down, and this would allow you to have an incredible resolution and color accuracy at cost of high ISO performance. But it's a kind of sensor you can use in a compact camera to, because it's a niche camera where you can see how the market reacts. I also saw patents about curved sensor on RX cameras, so full-frame curved sensors, that would allow you to have very compact, fast lenses. So that would be amazing, and it would be nice if Sony would be able to do that so that they can see how the market reacts. But I don't think this is going to happen, because I know from other manufacturers that make curved sensors that the manufacturing process is still costly and not accurate enough for mass production, so I don't think this is going to happen, but there are patents showing that Sony really is thinking about this. So I can't wait. So I think like in the future we will see that camera with curved sensor and a fixed lens curved sensor, but probably not by end 2025. But now let me know in the comment system what you think about my prediction. what you hope to get. If there's something I missed, maybe there's another camera that should be announced in 2025 and I didn't mention this video. But I think I will be very close, that this prediction is very close to what's likely to happen in 2025. And like I said, at least I'm really certain that we are getting more cameras than in 2024, and that's good enough for me. When it comes to lenses, we make a separate video. So again, subscribe and hit the notification button if you haven't done it so far. And again, a reminder that if you happen to stumble upon information not only about Sony but any other manufacturer, then you can send me anonymously a message using the contact box. Try to use a nickname so that I can recognize in future, or also contact me directly using the email. That's about it, folks. Now we'll be curious to read your comments, and as soon as I can, I will share the first info on the A7V that I know is coming soon. And hopefully it's a bit more exciting than the update from the A1 to the A1 II. Hopefully Sony will be more bold on this camera. See you soon.